This is why, and I'm going to say, first of all, if we bail out casinos and bail out cruises, I'm going to
or airlines for that
fucking
matter.
give up my citizenship to the United States, because that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Bailing out casinos? Why on earth? What are we talking about?
So people
here?
can go back and spend their money.
Yeah,
Their
what are we
$1,000 check
talking
from the
about
government, go back to a casino and play.
So, this is why you shouldn't bail any of those companies out. Carnival Cruises, sorry, you were completely irresponsible. You deserve to go down, okay? First of all, who goes on a cruise? We've discussed this. It's disgusting. I would never step on a cruise in my fucking life. But you deserve to go down because you've been completely irresponsible. American Airlines, same thing, completely irresponsible. We should not bail out the airlines. And I'll tell you why. And this is, we can clip this and we can have a little discussion about why you should not bail out airlines. Because, let's put it this way. In 2007, American Airlines had $500 million in profit for the year, okay? Last year, they had over $5 billion in profits. That's a 10x increase. They have less cash in the bank now than they did in 2007, despite making 10 times more profit. And you ask, where did all that money go? What have they been doing? How do you possibly make 10x the amount of money and still have less savings? Because they were buying back their stock. They were giving ridiculous executive compensation, paying their exec team a ridiculous amount of money, buying back billions of stock to prop their price up. Why have all these companies been going up and up and up? It's not because there's been so much demand or that because earnings have quadrupled for all the companies in the last 4 years. That's not why the stock market has quadrupled. It's because they've been buying back their own shares.
It's a little bit of a chain reaction too, because when one company does it, then the other company says, shoot, we're not going to be left behind. Why is American Airlines doing
But
it
that's
and not Delta
such
and not this and that?
short-term thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And
If we're gonna bail out American Airlines, this is under the any company that gets bailed out. And it's funny, actually, Mark Cuban I think tweeted this yesterday, and I was in total agreement. This is what I was saying the other day, that if any company receives a bailout, they are barred for life from ever buying back a single share of stock. You are no longer allowed to do that.
Or executive compensation.
And executive, if we bail out American Airlines, 3 years, no executive compensation. They're never allowed to buy back a single share of stock. Oh, and we're going to break them up because they've been buying all these other companies. And that's why they've been more profitable. And they haven't, if they had, there's nothing wrong with acquiring and strengthening your market position. That's just business. Every company does it. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of these antitrust people who wants to break up every company. But if you're American Airlines and you've been building up a pseudo monopoly in the United States, but then on top of that, and to where you've been able to 10x your profits, bravo. If you have 10x your profits, you should be able to have plenty of cash in the bank to sustain a situation like we're going through right now, so that you can go 6-8 weeks without making money and be fine. How can we tell Americans to have 6 months of savings when our biggest corporations don't even have that?
Yeah, that's the funny thing, that you always hear, oh, well, have this emergency fund and this and that for bad times, 6 months, 3 times your salary, 4 times your salary, whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, what happens to the companies? I can have my emergency fund, but no company has emergency fund now. All of a sudden, it's like 2 weeks of confinement and they're all broke.
And the other argument for bailing out the airlines is that, oh, well, they're essential to the economy. True. The planes and the infrastructure is essential to the economy. But here's something that I think is pretty obvious. Just because American Airlines disappears doesn't mean all their fleet does, doesn't mean all their hangars do, doesn't mean all the engineers who worked on their planes do. Those assets will be bought by new companies and better operators who will realize, oh, we have a fiduciary responsibility here to make sure that we don't go in the same situation as American Airlines. So if their planes get sold for the cheap for 20 cents on the dollar to better companies who have cash holdings who can afford it, then good. Because I want the American economy infrastructure that is the airline industry to be in the hands of responsible operators, not executives who are completely out of control and have been asleep at the wheel.
I was even thinking that maybe we should have military pilots just fly the planes, Just fire everybody, let everybody in American Airlines.
Well, no,
or
I
any
don't
airline.
want state-controlled airlines. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know, but just saying, okay, you guys can
can't
operate these
have-
airlines. We just kind of have military pilots. Just
You
fine.
cannot have capitalism in good times and then socialism in bad times, especially for these big companies. Okay, why is it that we're so anti-socialist in America, but then when it comes to bailing out big companies, we have absolutely no problem? You have to let them fail, or else they will never learn. They'll just do it again. Because if you bail them out, because when you say bail them out, that's our money. They're getting our money. And then they're going to go back doing the same thing that they were doing, raising rates, charging all these ticky-tacky fees. Oh, an extra bag,
that's what they did
$50.
last time.
Oh, snacks, $20. It's
That's what happened. That's at the end of the day, consumers end up paying the bill.
Yes.
Whether it's
Yes.
in tax revenue for the government, which the government then returns to give it to the airlines or any company they're bailing out, or by consumers paying. You remember it was after basically the last recession, and especially 9/11, all that stuff, that we started getting all these ticky-tacky charges, like, oh, you want a pillow, this money, you want a drink, this money, you want a second bag, this money, you want this, everything
and guess
was
what?
charged.
It's worked really well. They've 10x'd their profits in 10 years.
They have the same number of flyers approximately, but now we have exponential revenue because everything is charged.
So they've 10x their profits and they have less money in the bank. Literally, imagine if you're a person out there and you work your ass off and you go from making a $50,000 salary and then you quit, start your own company, and now you're making $500,000 a year. But imagine you were so reckless with your spending that you have less money in the bank than when you were making 50. That's what American Airlines has done. So to get back to why I think that this is a financial crisis, is that you have all these companies, and American Airlines is not the only one. I'm just picking on them because they've been one of the worst actors. But this has happened across the board. You have all these companies that have been buying back their stock for years. So they don't have the cash in the bank.
But before we get into the recovery, we're talking bailouts. So from all the companies that the government is, or they're requesting bailouts, and then the government is considering.
The auto manufacturers too?
Right.
You just got bailed out. We're not bailing you out again. Are you kidding me?
Which industry do you think is more deserving of a bailout, given the situation that they didn't plan for or wasn't expected, versus which company do you think have
the
abused the
ones who
system?
deserve a bailout is the small businesses and the ones who basically have not had this cushy 10 years, okay? It's been a great 10 years to be a big corporation. But small businesses, it's been good, but it hasn't been great. And so if you're a local restaurant, if you're a local company who doesn't have the savings, who's just trying to get off the ground, say you started within the last few years, and it takes time to build a business, those are the ones who deserve a bailout, because that's the lifeblood of the economy, not these big companies that give their executives $50 million in bonuses every year. And it's like, why are we bailing them out?
How about the hotels, big hotel chains like the Marriotts, the Hiltons, and all that stuff?
Marriott, no, because Marriott is majority Chinese owned. If they want to get bailed out, China can bail them out. Other hotels, it's a very dependent basis. Independent hotels, there's an argument to be made. I'm really curious what's going to happen with Airbnb. They were planning on going public this year. I don't think that's happening now.
I don't think they're going to go public, but they already having issues.
Well, they were planning on it.
Well, yeah, they were planning. I'm not sure if that's going to happen now or not. Probably not. I don't know. Depending. I mean, with the market status right now, it'll be kind of silly because they had the highest valuation, and now it's not going to happen. But the other thing that's happened to Airbnb, as you probably know, is that obviously they had cancellations like everybody else, like all the hotels, and Airbnb has said to the cancellations that they will refund them 100%. However, the hosts are now complaining because nobody's paying them. Yeah. So Airbnb is based on hosts just basically renting their house, apartments, rooms, whatever, and they spend money also preparing, cleaning, and all that stuff for new reservations.
The money has to come from somewhere. So the hosts, I mean, yeah, it sucks, but you know what? That's kind of the business you're in. It's no different than hotel owners who are basically like mega hosts. If you think about it, they're hurting too.
But there's conditions when you cancel within a certain time frame, and then if I'm a host and I just one of my tenants or guests just left, and I had to clean the apartment, clean the house, whatever, do all the maintenance to accept a new host, a new guest, and that guest doesn't come because now Airbnb is allowing them to cancel with zero cancellation fees. Then I still spend my money, preparing the apartment for that person that is coming. And normally you have a cancellation fee that you get, but now Airbnb is not honoring that. they're basically freeing up the guests without taking care of the hosts, basically. So there's a little situation there with the host now being upset. But I mean, it's just, this is something that is also...
No one's going to be happy. You either piss off your customers or piss off your hosts.
Exactly.
And they opted, which I think was the right move for the customers, because at the end of the day, if you don't have customers, you don't have hosts anyways.
Right.
So that's why they did it.
Obviously, the hosts are upset too, because they have a system. I mean, a lot of people use this as their own business model. They have 2-3 apartments or something, they're renting continuously, and then they make 40-50 grand a year just by the rental. So that's affecting them, because that's the whole lifeblood as far as money. When Airbnb or any hotel cancels and you don't have guests, then obviously your money goes down. But for people that are individuals, that are basically, that's their source of income, they are in the rental Airbnb business or whatever, and then nobody comes, then they lose that kind of money. So the thing is that this is something that people were not ready for, companies were not ready for, and it's affecting everybody so much across the board. That is a unique situation. We understand how companies maybe were not ready for this situation, So back to your economy.
Okay, so back to my...